Hello everyone, welcome to BISP Solutions. I am Preeti, working as Oracle Fusion Functional Consultant. So, in the previous session of our webinars, we have discussed how to create the business unit and how to create the location for those business units. Then we have seen how to create the reference data set, and then we have seen how to select that what are the functions that our business unit has to perform. Then we have seen how to create the LDG and how to assign that LDG to the legal entity. Then we have created the employee user. Then we have provided the roles which are related to the implementation and payables module to that user, and we have provided the data access to that user at our business unit level. Then we have seen how to configure the common options for payables, invoice options, payment options. And in our yesterday's session, we have discussed how to create the procurement agent, supplier address and site. So these are the topics that we have to discuss in our today's session. So we have to create supplier as per our client's requirement. Our client is Aeronet Group. Let us move to the requirement document. This is the supplier list that have been provided by our client. These are the suppliers of this client, and we have to configure this supplier list in the application. So now we will create the supplier as per our client requirement. So we have already created the DB advertisement company. Now we will create the rest of the 3 suppliers in the application. So let's move to our application. So we have logged in with the user that we have created yesterday, that is Preet02. And now for creating the supplier, we have to go to the procurement tab here. Under the procurement module, you will find the supplier infolet. Click on it. For creating the new supplier, you have to go to the task panel and then click on create supplier. Here give the name of the supplier. In the business relationship, let's take it as spend authorized, and the text of organization type, I'm taking it as corporation. Now click on create. Now we have to create the address. This is the general information that we have filled out. Click on address here and then click on add. Click the city here. Select the state here. And now what is the purpose for this address? We have to use for ordering, remit to, RFQ or bidding. So we are enabling all 3 checkboxes. Now click on save and close. Now first this supplier Primox computers will be approved, then only we will be able to create the site. We have seen this in our yesterday's session. So click on submit here. Let's create 2 more suppliers. And according to the agreement, these are the payment terms on which Aeronet and the suppliers agree to. DB advertisement companies providing the payment term of net 10, so we have to make the payment to them in 10 days. In the Primark's computers, we have to make the payment to them in the net 30 days. Fair Pockets are ready to take the payment in net 10 days, and in the stationery house has provided us the payment term as net 5 days. And we will create the payment term in the application after creating the suppliers. Now create the supplier Fair Pockets. Click on address here, then click on add icon. Give the city name here, then give the pin code here, give the state name here, and then click on save and close. Then click on submit. Create the address for the stationery house, click on add icon. Again select the purpose of creating this address and click on save and close, then click on submit. You can see here that the supplier profile change request for Fair Pockets was approved, and also for Primark's computer it is approved. Now we can create the site for these suppliers. Again go to the task panel, and from task panel now you have to go to the manage suppliers. Search for the supplier name here, and now click on edit icon. Now when you will click on sites tab, you will find that this add icon is active now. Click on this add icon, and the address that you have created under the address tab will be visible here. Now you are creating this site. What is the purpose of creating this site? You can select here. So I want to use it for purchasing. for paid. If you want to use any for other options, like you can enable this checkboxes here. Now click on save and these tabs will be activated. You can see here. Here we have already discussed yesterday. Provide the view name here. And then click on save and close. Click on submit. Then search for Fair Pocket supplier. Click on add it. You have to follow the same process for creating the sites. Click on size tab here. Go to contacts tab and click on add here. Let's create the contact for this site. Click on apply and then click on OK. And now you can click on save and close. Click on submit now. Let's check for Primox also, where the system is giving warning because we didn't created any contacts for that site. Let's create the contact for Primox computer site. Attach the address that you have created and then click on apply and then click on OK. Click on create supplier. Sorry, we have to search for stationery house supplier. Click on edit icon. Go to sites tab, click on add. Then click on save. Then come to site assignment. Select your view here and then click on save and close. Then create the contact for the site. address under contact. Click on apply, then click on OK, and then click on save and close. Click on submit here. So as per the client requirement, we have created all 4 suppliers, and now we have to create the payment term for these suppliers. So we have created the suppliers. Now our next task is that we have to create the payment terms. We should check whether we have created the reference data set. So in our first session we have already seen how to create the reference data set. Let's search for the reference data set that we have created. This is the reference data set that we have created. When we will create the payment term in the application, we have to associate or link one reference data set while creating the payment term, and then we have to associate that reference data set under the BU set assignment. First we will create the payment term. You can see here the task manage payment terms. Click on it, and these are the already created payment terms. Now click on create icon. Now what are the payment terms that our client and their suppliers are agreed on? We have to create 4 payment terms, that is net, 10 days, 30, 10 and 5 days. So we have to create 3 payment terms. Here you can give the start date. Select the installment here. Let's say 100% is due in 10 days. And if in case your supplier is allowing you the discount, if you pay in less than 10 days, then you can fill out that information. For example, your supplier is giving you 5% discount if you are paying that amount in 8 days or in 5 days. Then he is giving you 3% of discount if your client is paying you the amount in 8 days. And these are the conditions that if my client is paying the amount in 5 days, then he is giving you the discount of 5%, and if my client is paying in 8 days, then the supplier is giving him the discount of 3%. So this is the discount and how it will work. So right now we are not taking any discounts here. And under the set assignment, you have to assign your reference data set, and then you have to assign the same reference data set under the payment term for your view set assignment. Let's select the reference data set. Assigning one of the reference data set is mandatory. You can assign multiple reference data set here. Click on save and close. so next is 5 days. Paid payment term for net 30 days as per our client's requirement. Now click on Save and Close. Now go to the View Set Assignment. Where we will assign our reference data set for our business unit payment term. For that, search for Manage Business Unit Set Assignment. This is the task. Under the scope, you have to select your business unit. So by default, our business unit is already selected here. Click on this task. You can see here, you can assign the reference data set for reference data object here. Let's search for payment term. This is the Payable's payment term. Here we will assign the reference data set that we have created for our business unit, and we have assigned this reference data set to our payment terms. Then in the View Set Assignment, you have to assign that reference data set. You can also use the common reference data set which is provided by the Oracle. Click on Save and Close. Now we have created the basic requirement or configuration for the Payable module. Now we have to open the period for the Payable module for creating any of the transaction. Say for creating the invoice, you have to open the period for this Payable module. For that, go to the home page. Now go to the general accounting, and from general accounting you have to go to the period close. You can see here the Payables module. Click on it and go to actions and click on open target period. And I have already opened the period, but for showing you I followed the navigation. And you can see here that September is the future enterable and August is the actual present enterable. For opening the target period, you have to go to the actions, and from actions you have to go to the open target period, and under the target period you can select any of the period that are visible on the screen. Let's take September 23 and let's click on open. Now you can see here that October will be your future enterable period. You can see here now October is the future enterable period, whereas September is the period which you can use while creating your transactions. So in this way you can open the periods. Also we will see how to create the distribution set. First we will create the standard invoice for the suppliers that we have created in the application. Click on Payables tab, and from Payables tab you have to go to the Invoice workbench area, and for creating the invoice go to the Task panel. From Task panel click on Create Invoice. Under the business unit field you have to select the business unit that you have created, and search for the supplier that you have created. And here we have only one supplier side which is taken by the system by default. Give the number here for the invoice. Now here you have to select the currency in which you want to create this invoice. What should be the type of this invoice? Let's take it as standard. You can create 5 different type of invoices. One is standard, prepayment means advance, debit memo, credit memo, retainage release. So right now we are creating the standard invoice. This is the date of the invoice. What should be the payment term of this invoice? So what is the payment term that is given by this DB advertisement company to our client? Let's go to our requirement document. So DB advertisement company is providing us the net 10 days scheme. So this is the AN net 10 days payment term that we have created. Now select that. So we have filled out all the mandatory information for the invoice header, and now click on expand this lines detail. Give the amount here. Now select the distribution combination for this invoice. So we are creating this invoice for our Indian location business unit. In the account we will select the account that is available for the advertisement transaction. So this is the account value which is available for the advertising expenses. Select the cost center here. Click on OK, and now we will validate this invoice. So this invoice is validated. Now click on Save and Close. Go to Manage Supply, Manage Invoices. Search with invoice number here. So you can see here, this is the invoice that we have created now. So this is how we can manually create the standard invoice. Now our next task is that we have created the standard invoice, and now our next task is how to cancel this invoice. Go to manage invoice again, search for the invoice that you want to cancel. You can see under the actions we have an option that cancel invoice. Click on OK, and now this invoice is cancelled. You can see the invoice amount is 0. So this is how you can create the standard invoice, and this is how you can cancel the invoice. Now our next task is how to create the invoice through spreadsheet. If you have data in bulk, or you have invoice to load in the application which data is in bulk, then you can go for this option. For that, go to the invoices workbench area. From there you have to go to the task panel, and you can see the option available here, that is create invoice for spreadsheet. Click on it. Click on open file. Click on enable editing. Here it will ask you for your login credentials. First select business unit here. Give the invoice number here. Select the currency of invoice. Then select the invoice date here. Let's take it today's date. Then select the supplier's name. For that you can double click on this space, and here you can search for the supplier name. You can see here these are the suppliers that we have created now, and you can see on the screen. Now you can select any of the supplier for which you want to create the invoice. Let's take it as Fair Pocket. Click on OK. Select the supplier side for this supplier. All the sites when you are taking is not blank, then all the supplier site which are available or which you have created for this supplier will be visible here. Now select the supplier site and click on OK. If you are creating the invoice in one currency and you are making the payment of that currency in any other currency, then you can mention the payment currency here. If you have any purchase order number, then you have to mention it here. It is not mandatory field. We will create 4 different invoices for 4 different suppliers. Now here select the supplier for each invoice. Select the supplier side for the Primos computer. So now we can click on save and submit invoice import. You can see here the option. Click on save and submit invoice import. We have created 4 different invoices for 4 different suppliers through spreadsheet. Now it will ask you for which business unit you have to import these payable invoices and what should be the accounting date. Let's take it as today's date and then click on submit. Click on OK now. You can see the status here, that is row inserted. That means these invoices are successfully loaded in the application. Let's move to our application and there we will search for the invoice that we have created through spreadsheet. So you can see here that we have created these invoices through spreadsheet. Now you have to go and validate these invoices. Okay, so we didn't mention the line details. Now we have to give the distribution combination here. So this Fair Pocket is the company which is the broker, and we have to pay them the rent for the office. So let's create the line for the same. Now this invoice is validated. You can click on save and close. In the same manner, you have to select the distribution line for other invoices also, and then you can click on validate option. So our client also has a requirement that whenever we will create the invoice for advertisement or marketing expenses, then it should be bifurcate into the services which our client is providing. So these are the services that you can see on the screen. This is the services that those are provided by our client. So whenever we are creating the advertisement expenses, then it should go to 15% to ARCS, 15% to FCCS, and 15% to PVCS, 15% to TRCS, and rest of the 40% should be divided equally in the rest of the 4 services that we are providing. Now we will see how to create the distribution set for the same. Go to our application, then go to setup and maintenance. Search for the distribution set task, that is manage distribution set. Click on this and click on add. Select the business unit here. Distribution percentage, it is asking you whether it should be 100%. So I am taking 100% here. Now below under the distribution set details, you can add the distribution line 15%, and here you can select the distribution combination. search for the advertising account. Then go to the services segment and select the ARCS. Click on OK. In the same way, we will create the distribution combination line for all the services provided by our client. Now the rest of the 40% will be bifurcated into the ERP services provided by our Aeronet Group client. In this way you can create the distribution if you want, if you are creating any invoice and if you are creating a single line and you want that expense should be distributed on the basis of different segment values, then in that case you can create the distribution set. In our case, our client requires that whenever he is creating the advertisement expenses, then it should be bifurcated as per the specific percentage into the services that our client is providing to the customers. Click on save and close. So we have created the distribution set as per our client's requirement. You can see here under the requirement document, this was our client's requirement that whenever he is creating the advertisement expenses, it should automatically bifurcate it into the services that he is providing. Now we will go to the invoice workbench area, and at the time of creating invoice, under the line we will select this distribution set. Go to task panel and then go to create invoice. Select the business unit, then select the supplier's name here. Select the amount in which you want to create the invoice. Give the amount here, and under the line mention the amount, and here in the distribution set, select the distribution set that you have created. Now this 1 lakh will be automatically bifurcated into the percentage that you have selected while creating the distribution set for the services. Now you can see that this distribution combination field is faded now, and then click on validate. You can see here we haven't selected the payment term A and net 10 days that we have created for this business unit, and now I have clicked on validate and this invoice is validated now. This is how you can create the distribution set. So in today's session we discussed how to create the supplier as per the client's specific requirement. Then we have created the payment terms as per the client's requirement. Then we have assigned the RDS to the view set assignment. Then we have opened the period for the payables module. Then we have seen how to create the standard invoice and how to cancel the invoice. Then we have created the invoice through spreadsheet, and then we have discussed today that how to create the distribution set as per your client's requirement. So in the tomorrow's session we will take rest of the setups. For today, thank you so much for joining this session. Have a good day.